everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. What up? It's Reading with Shalom, man. We out here. Part 16. Welcome to part 16. Part 16 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall, man. That's what we out here. We out to get into that tonight, man. Trying to see which weights I'm going to use for tonight. Which weights I'm going to use. Oh, ooh, man, I think I'm going to use some 15s on that thing, man. We're going to finish off chapter 6 tonight. That's what we're here to do. We are here to finish off chapter 6. Man, we got about 6 pages. I don't know how long it's going to take us, you know. I don't know how long it's going to take us. Hopefully not an hour. Most likely not an hour. But we're only going to get to chapter 7. That's all we're going to do. We're going to read chapter 6 and then work our way. We're going to finish up chapter 6, man, get to chapter 7, and we're going to stop at chapter 7, which is Bas de Fleuve. The Creole slaves adapt to the cypress swamps. We'll leave chapter 7 for tomorrow night. But tonight, man, we're going to finish up with chapter 6. Hope everybody's doing wonderful, man. I hope the Most High granted y'all breath to breathe so you have all that you need to succeed. That's why. So the objective for tonight is to succeed, baby. Succeed and read in chapter 6. Succeed and read in chapter 6, man. Ooh-wee. Yeah, I don't want to do nothing. I ain't even going to lie to you. I don't even want to read. But I'm going to read, man. I'm going to get it out the way. Don't put off today. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And today I can read. So let's read. So when you come on in, man, leave a comment so I can know that the chat is working, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, Shalom out here reading shit. Man, we're going to keep learning about the Africans in Colonial, Louisiana right now, and some Haitian stuff. We're going to learn about that as well. We're going to do some shit, build some shit, cause some shit, grow some shit. We're going to learn some shit, baby. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be better. And part of being better is expanding our mind as well as expanding our body, man. Working our bodies. That's another part of being better. Working our body. Working our body right. Hey, I'm full of shit. I don't feel like working my body at all. But we're going to do something, man. I want to get my chest right. My chest right, stomach flat. Oh, arms, I see a little poke in that shirt. We get the arms right, chest right, stomach right, back right, legs right. Oh, man, when the zombie apocalypse come, we be ready for the fight. Get on the zombie. Oh, shit. So, yeah, if it's your first time, you know, if it's your first time to the live, welcome. You know, if there's any words that I come across that I don't understand the meaning to, we're going to stop and we're going to check the Terminator, man. We're going to look up the words and see what the Terminator talking about. Maybe the Terminator got some. If the Terminator ain't got it, we'll check the old school dictionary, see if maybe Webster got the definition. Hopefully we can find the right pronunciations and the right definitions within the Terminator. I've been using it to be quicker, just to be quicker, so that way I'm not off of the reading too much. But we're going to keep reading. We're going to keep reading, man. We're going to keep reading. We got to work our body, work our mind, and then work our body one last time on the way to go out, man. So we're going to do something, man. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out what we're going to do today, man. I've been working out already a little bit here and now. We're going to try with these 15s. We're going to see if I can get in with these 15s, man. So I'm going to do 25 of them. 25 things. 25 things. You do 25 things. Whatever 25 things is good for you. You do 25 things good for you, and I'm going to do 25 things good for me. Whatever I need to work on for me. And I know the areas I need to work on for me. So I'm going to do 25 of them things. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I might have to go like this. 5. There we go. 6. 7. Man, I'm fucking it up. Let's just do these. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 25 things. I might go 25 of the others. 25 of the others. Hey, we'll run it like this, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get 25 of them. 6, 30, really, 7, 15 on each arm. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You don't need big weights, man. Even though you might have them, you don't need big weights necessarily. Depending on how you want to look, man. You want to get big, all right, I guess bigger weights work, man. But, hey, you know, if you're just trying to get cut up, leaned up, you don't need big weights. You need to start somewhere, anywhere. Start somewhere. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 10 more, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, let's get it, baby. 25, 5 more, 26, push it up there, 27, push it, hit whoever that in the mouth, take that, 28, take that 2, 29, come on, one, take that sucker, give me that, 30. That's 15 on each arm plus 25 of the others, man. So now we can read, man. Now we can read and finish off chapter 6, the Creole slaves, and see what Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall is talking about. Man. See what Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall is talking about tonight. This is part 16. Let's finish it off. Let's jump right into it. Part 16 of chapter 6, the Creole slaves. Let me look at the whole name right quick. The Creole slaves, origin, family, language, and folklore. Chapter 6, but this is part 16. This is the ending. This is the third part or the third piece of the reading of chapter 6. So we're going to finish it off. We're going to finish it off, man. Break out your notepads and shit. The vocabulary of the vocabulary of Louisiana Creole is overwhelmingly French in origin, but its grammatical structure is largely African. There has been no systematic study of African words that survived in Louisiana Creole, but some immediately come to mind. In the proverb, the stupid hyena makes the gumbo, the rabbit eats it. Buki is a Wolof word meaning the loud mouth, stupid hyena. And Buki does not mean he-goat, though that is the way that it has been translated from Louisiana Creole folklore. Now, gumbo, the word from which the famous New Orleans seafood dish takes its name, means okra in Bambara and in many other African languages. Now, although the number of African words have survived in Creole languages, this connection has not been systematically studied, and except in regard to Gullah and the few other languages. Let me mark that, gumbo. Gumbo means okra. That's what that means, okra. Gumbo means okra. Well, I got some gumbo growing in my backyard right now, then. We're going to see how big that gumbo get. Now, Creolists believe that all Creole languages were created during the first 2 decades after the arrival of African slaves, and the surname case is instructive, and almost all of the English have departed with their slaves 20 years after they had founded the colony. And nevertheless, an English-based Creole language, Shrinan, Schranen became the national language of the Dutch colony of Suriname, and it had to be created in those few years during the first 2 decades of colonization when Dutch-owned slaves overlapped English-owned slaves. Now, the early creation of Louisiana Creole and its widespread use among whites as well as blacks up until World War II is strong evidence for the strength of the African ingredient of Louisiana Creole culture. Now, while the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which holds that there is no thought without language, that there is no limit to variability among languages, and that language absolutely determines thought, is now considered an exaggeration, and there is no doubt that the impact of language upon thought is substantial. The widespread survival of the Louisiana Creole until recent times and its use by whites of various social positions, as well as by blacks and mixed bloods, had no doubt a great impact upon Africanizing Louisiana culture. Now, the choice to speak the particular language and to adapt or retain speech patterns identified with the given social group is an act of cultural identity. And individuals both identify themselves and identify with others by the language they speak and their usage of speech patterns. Now, members of language communities share grammar, the structure of language, and the symbols representing thought as well as objects. And they share idioms, styles, and modes of communication, including rhythm, intonation, gestures, and vocabulary. And the use of proverbs in speech as well as their content is crucial to socialization. Now, folk tales and song lyrics are, of course, communicated in the particular language, and their meanings cannot be adequately conveyed through translation. Louisiana Creole became a vital part of the identity not only of Afro-Creoles, but also of many whites of all classes who, seduced by its rhythm, intonation, humor, and imagination, adopted it as their preferred means of communication. Like, baby. Now they saying love. Hey, Shalom, Cogsworth. We are reading from the Africans in Colonial Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We're in chapter 6. This is part 16. Part 16, but it's chapter 6, the ending of chapter 6. Creole slaves. There are still a significant number of whites who are monolingual speakers of Louisiana Creole. And in most immigration situations, the children of the first generation help their parents communicate in the language of their new country. But the Atlantic Creole languages were created partially by both generations in enhancing the power and influence of the Africans. Now, although sociolinguists have argued that slaves had to develop Pidgin and Creole languages in order to communicate among themselves as well as with the whites' dominant group, since the slavers would break up tribal groups to minimize the risks of rebellion, the slave traders and slave owners' ability and at times desire to fragment the African population is questionable. Now, slave traders in Africa and slave masters in the Americas were eager for slaves and could not always choose their nations. And furthermore, slave owners from various colonies had preferences for slaves of particular African nations. It is probably fair to conclude that the primary purpose for creating Louisiana Creole was to enable the slaves to communicate with whites and the African slaves, children who spoke distinct African languages at home, to communicate with each other, except for the relatively few African slaves who were torn away from their speech community in Africa and could not rediscover a significant number of speakers of their mother tongue in Louisiana. Now, once the language was created and widely spoken, the newly arriving African slaves were motivated to learn Louisiana Creole in order to communicate with the Creole slaves, as well as with whites who spoke the language. And though their motivation probably varied in accordance with whether or not there was a social or a speech community in their mother tongue, two people can constitute a speech community, but A social community implies large enough numbers to allow for at least a rudimentary social organization. An individual's motivation for learning a foreign language could vary sharply, and depending upon the size and availability of a social community, using his or her native language and the sociability of the person, the gifts the person had for learning languages, and his or her openness to people of other ethnic groups, languages, and cultures. It has been established that through linguistics as well as historical evidence that Louisiana Creole was created in Louisiana and was not derived from Haitian or other West Indian varieties of French-based Creoles. Now, Ingrid Newman, a German Creolist, has recently argued from linguistic evidence that Louisiana Creole developed independently of the Creoles of the French West Indies, and Newman's interpretation coincides with the historical facts. And we have seen that the slaves brought to Louisiana during the formative period of the language came directly from Africa and not from the French West Indies. And for economic as well as legal reasons, the importation of slaves from the French islands was quite limited throughout the 18th century, and though there was probably smuggling and misrepresentation of the true origins of slaves, only 6 out of 2,632 slaves listed in Pointe-Coupee slave inventories between 1771 and 1802 were Creoles of the French West Indies, and they didn't want that because of the revolutions. Now, some Creolists believe that the Atlantic Creoles derived from the Portuguese-based pidgin, and a trading language, and that developed in West Africa during the 15th and 16th centuries, when Portugal was the only European power engaged in the slave trade. Now, a pidgin is the contact language with the limited vocabulary, allowing communication between 2 or more people speaking dissimilar languages. A pidgin is not the primary language spoken by any people, and it becomes transformed into a Creole when a new generation expands its vocabulary and adopts it as its native tongue. And according to this monogeneous theory, the original Portuguese-based pidgin was relaxified. Relaxified, what a word. And that is English, French, and Dutch vocabularies were introduced into the existing pidgin at and around the trading posts and on the slave ships of the respective European nations. Now, a number of facts led credence to this theory, and there is a substantial nautical vocabulary in the Atlantic Creoles, and some of the basic vocabulary of the Atlantic Creoles remains Portuguese. The mere existence of words of Portuguese origin does not prove that the Atlantic Creoles derived from the Portuguese-based pidgin, because contact, migration, and changes in control of colonies in and around the Caribbean could account for the introduction of Portuguese words or of Spanish words that are similar to Portuguese. Now, for the French-based Creoles in the West Indies, Spanish vocabulary that can be mistaken for Portuguese was no doubt introduced to the island Carib, whose earliest contacts with Europeans were with the Spanish. And Louisiana Creole closely resembles Mauritius Creole, a French-based Creole language created in Ile-de-France, and an island in the Indian Ocean. And Mauritius Creole exhibits remarkable similarities shared by other varieties of American Creole French, notably that of Louisiana. And a majority of the West African slaves coming to Mauritius between December 31st, 1730 and December 31st, 1735 also came from Senegal and Gorée. Now, both of these Creole languages probably derived from the same pidgin spoken in Senegal around the same time period, and little documentation of this pidgin has come to light. But we do have samples of the Louisiana Creole language at a very early stage of its formation that show survivals of the Portuguese pidgin, and De Pratz published several sentences in Louisiana Creole, although he published his work in article form in 1751, 1752 and 1753, in a book formed in 1758, and he lived in Louisiana between 1718 and 1734. Now, these quotations, therefore, had to date from before 1734 and are some of the earliest documented examples of any Creole language. And one sentence quoted from Samba Bambara was, Imle page, I'm fucking it up. Imle page, li diable, li sabit toi. Mr. Lee Page is a devil who knows everything. And the word sabá is core vocabulary pointing toward the Portuguese-based pidgin. Let me see if I'm pronouncing that right. Sabá, sabai, sabai, S-A-B-A-I, sabai. Let's see what the Terminator got. Maybe the Terminator can help me. T-1000. Open yourself. So, my bad, it's not Sabai, it's Sadai. Sadai. No, I was right. Sabai. S-A-B-A-I. Sabai. Sabai pronunciation. Sabai. 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 Okay, Sabai. Maybe I'll go Portuguese translation. What the fuck is that? Sabai. French. Let's see, French. French pronunciation. Or Creole. Let's see, Creole. Creole pronunciation. I am fine. Sabadi. I wonder if that's Sapase Nabule Sabadi. Yeah, Sabah. 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 It's pronounced Sabah. The word Sabah is core vocabulary pointing toward a Portuguese-based pidgin, and it cannot be convincingly argued that there was Spanish or Portuguese influence upon the formation of the Louisiana Creole language during these early years. And Samba Bambara had been the interpreter in both Matri de Langue, in both Senegal and Louisiana. And the language he was quoted in was probably a Creole in formation from the Portuguese-based pidgin that had been relaxified with French vocabulary in Senegal and then brought to Louisiana. And another quotation was, Mansou negre million beaucoup travail beaucoup. Grand negre tenir bon montre. Nigre vini bon. And the French translation into French was Monsieur Grand Negre est bien noir, il travaille bien. Quand Nagri a un bon montre, le Nagri devant bon. Sir, when a Nagri is fed well, he works well. And when a Nagri has a good master, Nagri becomes good. Naneom, a word that means to eat, is found in many Niger, Congo, it's pronounced nigger, but in many Niger Congo languages, and is believed to be derived from the early pidgin. And maritime terms are found in the language. For example, hale, in Tehel, and bael, a large wooden bucket. And Louisiana Creole evidently developed from the Portuguese-based pidgin that had been relaxified with French vocabulary in Senegal. Relaxified, not relaxified, my bad, relaxified. Now, this pidgin was spoken by a number of African slaves brought to Louisiana between 1719 and 1731. And the first generation of Creole slaves adapted the language as its mother tongue, expanding and nativizing its vocabulary, including Indian terms for local fruits and plants. And it was widely adopted by whites of all statuses. And documentation exists of the widespread use of Louisiana Creole during the late 18th century. And a trial of Mena slaves from the Pointe-Coupee Post, which began in 1792, shows that Creole was widely spoken by the slaves as well as by many whites, and that slaves recently arrived from Africa learned Louisiana Creole rather than French or Spanish. And the commandant of the post testified that the accused slaves had been interrogated in the Creole language, which is a mixture of that of the blacks and of the French, which is pronounced with great diversity. And they do not understand either the real French language or English, but they all understand and can explain themselves perfectly well in Creole, which is a mixture of the language of their nation and of French, which is badly pronounced and even more badly conjugated, which language is not known by all of the French and English settlers of the province, but I, the witnesses, and the notary who assisted in the interrogation know it very well. Now, this quotation clearly establishes that Louisiana Creole was well developed long before the massive immigration of Haitians to Louisiana after the outbreak of the Haitian Revolution, and that newly arriving Africans learned Louisiana Creole rather than other languages, and that many whites, especially in the rural areas, spoke the language. Now, Louisiana Creole was widely spoken by all classes of whites in Lower Louisiana up until World War II. And Dr. Alfred Mercer, a native of New Orleans and a physician and writer, published in 1880 one of the earliest studies of any French-based Creole language, a work that is still respected. And he also published an enlightened novel containing much dialogue in Louisiana Creole, La Corline, Organ of the White League of Louisiana, published satirical verse in Louisiana Creole in 1884 and 1885. And Alexis Fortier published 6 Compare Boki and Compare Lapin tales, as well as Lapin. Man, why that sound like Lapin? I believe Lapin is rabbit. I believe Lapin means rabbit in French. Lapin in French. French word for rabbit.
In French, you would say lapin in its feminine form,
Lapin.
And lapin in its masculine form.
Lapin. That's what it is. Rabbit tails. Lapin. That's how my papa would say it. Lapin. Boy, them Lapin was out there. Lapin that pot. Lapin. Compare Bouquet and compare Lapin tales, as well as a most remarkable creation myth, including the original Louisiana Creole version of the famous Tar Baby folktale, Petit Bonhomme Gaudrin. And although Frontier went to great lengths to trace these stories to medieval France, their Senegambian origins are clear, and the creation myth conveys a reverence for all forms of life. And God had ordered the animals not to destroy or eat each other, but to eat only grass and fruits. That was better because they were all his creatures, and it pained him when they killed each other. But as quickly as they would eat the grass and fruits, God would take pleasure to make them grow again, to please them. But the animals refused to obey. The lions ate the sheep, the dogs ate the rabbit or lapin, and the serpents ate the little birds, and the cats ate rats, the owls ate the chickens. And to stop them from destroying themselves and to punish their cruelty, God sent a great drought. And although drought was a severe problem in Senegambia, which bordered the Sahara Desert, drought was never a problem in Louisiana. And on the contrary, the biblical flood would have been more appropriate. The Buki and Lapantels are populated by lions and elephants. Mende folk literature includes the rabbit and the hyena stories, and stories about the astute, resourceful rabbit who triumphs over the stronger but loud-mouthed and stupid hyena, who retained his Wolof name, were no doubt brought by slaves coming from Senegambia. The Brer Rabbit tales, collected by Joel Chandler Harris, were anglicized versions of these Louisiana Creole folk tales of Senegambian origin. Now, Louisiana Creole, the language of the blacks, and the folklore in this language were widely known and cherished by Creoles of all colors and classes. And Louisiana Creole became the preferred means of communication among Louisiana's elite white Creoles. It came to be looked upon by many of them as their true native language. And Lyle Saxon and Robert Tallant wrote, Mammy's influence was so great and so much of her time was spent with her children that most young white Creoles grew up speaking the language. But the language was by no means confined to blacks and elite whites. James F. Broussard, writings in 1942, reported that Louisiana Creole was spoken by a large black population in South Louisiana, by many whites who learned it in childhood from their nurses, and by others who have adopted it as the language of their community. He had heard it spoken by groups of whites on the streets in St. Martinville, Brobridge, well, that's down the road. New Roads, that's down the road too, that's by Point Coupee, and other towns of southern Louisiana. And it is not uncommon for the older educated Louisianians to return to the language of their childhood when in reminiscent moods. Now, Broussard had learned the language from his nurse as a child and spoke it exclusively until he was 7 years old, because it is naive simplicity, its inherent melody, its soothing rhythm, and this dialect has expressed the sweetest memories of my childhood. It is particularly dear to me, and it should prove of interest to scholars who, like to me, what a simple, emotional, and highly imaginative race can fabricate out of a cultured language to serve as a medium for their thoughts. It was customary for elite whites to speak Louisiana Creole even in the drawing rooms at times, for it was far more native to Louisiana than French could ever be, and more flexible, being capable of turns and twists impossible in French. And until the late 19th century, upper-class white Creoles spoke it exclusively until they were 10 or 12 years old. Children had to be weaned from speaking the language with bribes and punishments. And Louisiana Creole is still spoken by tens of thousands of people, white as well as black in some parts of the state, and sometimes called Black French, broken down French, gumbo French, or Mokori Movini. It is presently spoken by about 60,000 to 80,000 persons, and by 50,000 of them and by 50,000 to 60,000 blacks, and by 10,000 to 20,000 whites. It is impossible to arrive at more exact figures because many whites are bilingual speakers of Creole and Cajun and are reluctant to admit to the investigators that they speak nigger French. And it is the native language of many whites, and several thousands of whom are still monolingual speakers of Louisiana Creole. And in contrast, the Gullah dialect, on an English-based Creole language, survived in the isolated sea islands off the coast of South Carolina and Georgia, and probably was never spoken by significant numbers of blacks or whites in the mainland. Now, Broussard concluded that Louisiana Creole was created by Senegalese blacks, and he wrote that the plantation owners of the Bayou Teche country. Ooh, I didn't rode the Bayou Teche. country. St. Martin Parish of South Louisiana possessed a large number of slaves of dominant Senegalese blood, and the Senegalese Negroes were preferred to those from the Congo because of their tractability and superior intelligence. Let me mark that about Bayou Teche. I wonder if the part of Bayou Teche that I actually rode, me and my boys rode down Bayou Teche. It was like they was down there with kayaks and stuff, and I brought my boat, which they call a tub. He wrote the owners of the Bayou Teche country. I wonder if that same way we rode would have been some of the same way that the slaves went, or had to travel down during these times. The Senegalese Negroes were preferred to those from the Congo because of their tractability and superior intelligence. Now, Broussard traced the master class of the Bayou Teche country to the better class from Martinique and Guadeloupe and the Creoles from New Orleans. And although his history was flawed, Broussard's linguistic conclusions are correct. Few Senegalese slaves could have come from the French islands, and Gabriel Debian and his colleagues studied inventory lists of slaves from the French West Indies, and these lists, dating mainly from the late 18th century, show few slaves from Senegal. Now, Debian wrote, in the Antilles, where the Senegalese and particularly the Wolofs were never numerous, the Bambara were considered the best of the Africans, and they were rare, no doubt because they were already half Islamized, and they were from regions very far from the coast, the middle Niger, and they were highly prized. Now, Bambara and other Mende languages, as well as most West African languages, are tonal, and rhythm as well as tonality not only determine the meaning of individual words, but also play an important role in grammar. And functional tonality has been identified in a few Creole languages. It is possible that the musicality of Louisiana Creole, which seduced generations of Louisianians and probably affected their own speech in Cajun and English as well as in French, is a non-functional survival of tonality in African languages. Now, one of the ways in which musicality is expressed in Louisiana Creole is through, I don't know how to pronounce this word. Onomatopoeia. Let's see what the terminator say. Onomatopoeia.
Here's the definition of onomatopoeias: the formation of a word from a sound associated with what is named, e.g. cuckoo, sizzle.
A relatively large bird. That's not what I want. The language of her picture books is notable for its playfulness and onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia.
Through words that imitate sound. For example, in Louisiana Creole, a bullfrog is called shit. I don't know how to pronounce it. Uuran. The gabbling of birds is zabater. The violin player is tralulu. A bird is a zozo, and from the French word oise, but zozo also imitates the sound of the bird. And patterns of rhythm and tonality in Louisiana Creole might be linked to patterns of musical expression, including syncopation and jazz. And it is surprising that linguistics have paid relatively little attention to the study of rhythm and intonation in Creole languages. Louisiana which has been part of the United States for almost 200 years, remains a trilingual state where Louisiana Creole, Cajun, and English are all spoken. And there is a linguistic continuum in which Creole blends into Cajun, and which in turn is become anglicized. Some songs have survived in African languages, and slave hunters were common in 18th century Louisiana. And aside from those slaves who had an official role as hunter, many slaves had to supplement their meager rations with game. And the Maroons, of course, had to survive to a great extent through hunting and fishing. And during the late 19th century, a hunting song in an unidentified African language was still being sung by freedmen in Louisiana. The song was possibly a ritual to control the Nyama from the slain animals. And these former slaves supplied the music and lyrics as well as the translation. Man, I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna try to read it in what they say. I'll try to read. Man, it has a dezab de kunu wiwi dezab de kunu wiwi kununu wiwi kununu wiwi mamza zaza raza amanza. Out from under the trees, our boat moves into the open water. Bring us large game and small game. Now, proverbs often play a decisive role in preserving culture and tradition among mobile people. And such is the case of Senegambia, for example, among the Fulbe, who are nomadic herdsmen. And in Louisiana, the proverbs were, of course, creolized in language and in content. Lafcadia Hearn collected proverbs in several French-based Creole languages, including Louisiana Creole, but since his work was done during Victorian times, he left out some because of their naive decency. And the considerable body of folk tales collected in Louisiana Creole suffers from the same prudish distortion. Now, Louisiana Creole slave songs were secular and not religious, and love was a favorite theme. I'm going to read the English. I'm not going to. Suzette. Suzette, why, Suzette, you do not love me. Hey, Suzette, why do you not love me? I will go to the bush, dear one. I will go cut cane, dear friend. I will make money, beloved. I will bring it all to you. Suzette, you don't love me. Hey, Suzette, why do you not love me? I went to the woods, dear one. I killed some birds, beloved. I made much money, sweetheart, and brought it all to you. Man, that sounds like it could be an old blues song. The Creole songs were bitterly satirical and taking particular pleasure in cutting down the high and the mighty, and the pretentiousness of the mulattoes was the favorite theme. And one song was directed against the Tukatu family, Tukatu, which was attempting to pass for white. Tukatu, they know you. You are a blackamoor. There is no soap white enough to bleach your skin. And even at the theater, when you go to a lodge, as white as you look, they will make you go to the balcony. You haven't passed that much, Tukatu. They know you, and you are a blackamoor, and there is no soap white enough to bleach your skin. Tukatu, a blackamoor, huh? Ain't that funny? A blackamoor. In short, saying you're a Moor. You're still a Moor. As in other traditional Afro-American societies, for example, the descendants of the Maroons and of Suriname, the collective historical memory of was communicated and passed down in song, and historical events were a crucial theme in Creole slave songs. In Louisiana, too, the Creole slave songs commented upon real events, and a song was a vehicle through which the historical memory was transmitted from generation to generation. Hearn explained, however artless the childish these Creole songs seem, they are invariably originated by some real incident. And George Washington Cable commented on the clownish flappancy with which the great events are sung, and upon whose issue from time to time the fate of the whole land, society, government, and fireside, the lives of thousands hung in agonies and of suspense. The Creole slaves were not enthused about being used as for cannon fodder in wars in which they felt they had not no stake, and their loyalty was severely tested by British invasion of Louisiana in 1815, since the British had promised the slaves freedom in return for their support. A Creole slave song about the Battle of New Orleans was expressed this sentiment. I'm not going to read, I'm going to read the English. The English muskets went bim bim. Kentucky rifles went zim zim. I said to myself, save your skin. I scampered along the water's edge, and when I got back, it was daybreak. Mistress flew into a rage. She had me whipped at the 4 stakes because I did not follow my master. But for me, the 4 stakes is better than a musket shot from an Englishman. How do we account for the great resiliency of the African Afro-Creole culture of Louisiana and its broad impact upon people of all classes and colors? Its creativity, intelligence, biting wit, joyfulness, musicality, poetic strain, and reverence for beauty makes this culture inherently attractive. But what is most important is its powerful, universalist trend. And Senegambia had long been the crossroads of the world, where peoples and cultures were amalgamated in the crucible of warfare and in the rise and fall of far-flung trading empires. An essential feature of the cultural materials brought from Senegambia, as well as from other parts of Africa, was the willingness to add and incorporate useful aspects of the new cultures encountered. And this attitude was highly functional in a dangerous and chaotic world. New Orleans became another crossroads where the rivers and the bayous and the seas were open roads where various nations ruled, but the folks continued to reign. They turned inhospitable swamplands into a refuge for the independent, the defiant, and the creative, unimportant people who tore down barriers of language and culture among peoples throughout the world and continue to sing to them of joy and the triumph of the human spirit. And that was the end of chapter 6. That was the end of chapter 6. That was part 16. The end of chapter 6. Creole slaves, the Creole slaves, the end of chapter 6 in Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. I wish I remembered more of the French, man. I really wish. Like sometimes, some stuff stick out to me, like lapin, and other words. Like my grandmother, I mean, I still learn some words. I had somebody told me one like flossaté. Flossaté might not be a French word. It's probably a Creole word, but it's supposed to mean messing around or playing around. Flossaté. Lapin. La misaine. Misaine. Now, if we look up la misaine, it's supposed to mean the pain. So like my grandfather or my grandmother say they was hurting somewhere, my grandmother would tell me about how she got some la misaine in her leg, or my grandfather got that la misaine in his neck. And la misaine. Oh, he ain't going away. He got that la misaine in his neck. So, you know, I got my boys saying it because I say it around the house. And the little things I do remember straight out, I'll say. Sometime when I get them spam calls, I answer in French. Bonjour. Ah, bonjour. Comment allez-vous? Ah, bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Je m'appelle Shalom. Get there. Get off my phone, spam. Hey, and you know, sometimes like I hear certain things I can remember. You know, I remember certain French because growing up, French was one of the languages that we had to take. But growing up, a lot of people would speak Creole or speak the Cajun, as they say, the nigger French. You know, they would speak that around here, especially the older folks. The older folks would speak that. You know, so some stuff, it'll come back to me. I remember some stuff, or it'll sound familiar. You know, so with me reading and trying to read through some of the Frenches, I'm giving it my best shot. I know I'm probably butchering some of it. I'm probably butchering a lot of it. But you know, some of it sound right. Some of it sound right to me. You know, and whenever I go check out some of the words on the Terminator, you know, some of it be right. Some of it be right or not far off. I'm not far off. I'm not far off. I wish I could speak it more fluently. You know, those are one of the things, you know, when people ask about your regrets in life, you know, not paying attention, not paying attention in school like I should have been to the languages that I was learning. I regret that. I regret that now. Because if I had really paid attention and I could speak the languages that I went to school, you know, I was just trying to pass them. In my mind, I thought, you know, I'm never going to need this. I'm never going to need to know these languages. Who the fuck will need to know Latin? Even though I took it, you know, I'm not going to be speaking French to nobody. I'm not going to be speaking Spanish to nobody. And then I got to Texas and was speaking, and Spanish was all over the place. I never seen a Mexican until I was 18. You know, Mexicans and people, Spanish speaking people was really just, you know, in the movies. That is movie stuff to us. But then once I got to Texas, I'm like, shit, if I'd have paid attention for real in Spanish, I probably could, you know, one of them good jobs, one of the bilingual jobs, you know, for people who could speak English and Spanish. And then when I got to Iraq, you know, we had to learn some Arabic. So if I would remember that, that would be another language. So that would have been French, Creole, Spanish, Latin, Arabic, English, and I'm trying to learn Hebrew, which I know some stuff, but you know, I'm still learning it. I'm still learning. So that'd be 7 languages. That would be 7 languages that I could speak. And I look at people who speak multiple languages in awe. Like, man, that's amazing. That is amazing. And it's not to say that I, you know, as long as I have breath to breathe, then I have all I need to succeed, and I can learn to speak as many languages as I can. And that's what Rosetta Stone and other things is for. There are ways to do it, but you know, when you already got a lot of irons on the fire, it's kind of hard to, you know, you got to get rid of the irons you got on the fire first. Finish cooking what you got cooking first, and then you put something else on the fire. You know, that's how it's supposed to go. So that's what I got to do. I got to finish cooking what I'm cooking first. And once I finish that wrist work on what I'm cooking, then I can move on to something else. Or, you know, shit. Too many, like my brother said, you got too many irons on the fire. Too many irons. But I work that black pot and make a gravy. You know, my brother just cooked up some lapin the other day. So, yeah, but I don't eat that lapin. It is unlawful for me to eat the lapin. The Most High God said you cannot eat that lapin. So, but once again, I think I read pretty good today. I stumbled towards the end, especially when we got to like some of the French songs or the Creole songs. I stumbled a little bit there. But, you know, overall, I think I read pretty good tonight. Tonight was a pretty good reading. But practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. And the more I read, the better I'll get. You know, the better narrator I can become. And thank you, Cogsworth, for the compliment, man. I appreciate it. I'm working at it. The better orator I can become, as well as narrator. I like when I hear, as the book spoke of, about the tonality and the rhythm. You know, I like when I have a good rhythm and a good pace and I can pronunciate the words and the tonalities and the inflection of certain words can be emphasized, and I do it effortlessly, more effortlessly, or at least that's how it sounds when I hear it to myself. And I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to do that and grow, because those type of things are the things that I think may catch people's people who really don't like to read books or listen to books being read. Those are the things that might catch them and captivate them and keep them occupied within the realm of the book being read, captivate them a little bit more, so to speak. So, hey, we're going to keep pushing, man. We're going to keep rolling our way through the sea of pages that is laid before us by Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall. Man, one chapter at a time, one session at a time, one part at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time, here a little and there a little, until we can seek and find the treasures that have been left behind through the sea of pages, man. In the sea of pages. And this is the 28th sea of pages that I'm trying to assassinate, man. I'm going to assassinate this thing, baby. Now, we're almost there. We're in chapter 7. We are definitely over halfway. We're definitely over halfway through the book. We have 100 and I want to say 180, about 180 pages left. Yep. We got 180 pages left to finish off the book. We stopped on page 201. 201 is what we stopped on. So we got 180 pages left to finish the book. We'll keep pushing. We'll keep pushing. I definitely want to, man, I think we can get pretty far before the end of the month. I think we can get pretty far before the end of the month, as long as I stay continual with it, as long as I stay consistent with it. You know, and that has been the key lately, the consistency. I can't, you know, depending on how the weather is and depending on other things, you know, it shouldn't be any excuses. But, you know, God spare life, Most High spare life. You know, we can get up in here and read and do our thing and show that we have all we need to succeed, and we succeed at little and work our way to succeeding at great, and burn down the plantations and rebuild our mind, and we input the things that we want to input in our minds that can help us renew ourselves, that we can apply. What can we apply to our life? What gifts can we, you know, borrow and learn from? What treasures, as I say, what truths can we unearth, and what lies can we cast down? That's what we're trying to see. That's what can we learn? What can we learn? It's all part of learning to be better, 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 better. And for me to be a better example, a better example. They already say niggas can't read, you know, so hey, I'll read. I'll read. I'll read. Even though I used to be one that didn't like to read, hey, I'll read. Yeah, I'll stand. Who gonna read? Who will rise up? I'll rise up and read. I'm not tripping. I'll read. You might not like the books I'll read, but I'll read. And we're going to keep pushing, because I'm ready to read the Black Indians, which is the next book on the list. The Black Indians, baby. So we worked our body. We worked our mind. Let's work our body one last time on the going out, man. Like, comment, subscribe, share, man. Tell your people, Shalom out here reading shit. We learning shit. We doing shit, man. We trying to grow. Grow some shit. Grow our minds, grow our body, grow some plants. I put a cucumber out of my garden and ate it today. Oh, man, I should have took a picture of that thing, man. A nice-ass cucumber, man. My papa said that's some straight eight cucumbers. And they on there. All them cucumbers on there, too. Oh, they on there. I'm proud of myself. Oh, man, the cucumbers look good, yeah. Oh, man. I got peppers coming. I got tomatoes coming. My corn growing. My beans growing. I got watermelons growing. I don't have a watermelon on the plants, but man, it's bushing out and I love it. My potatoes growing. Oh, they getting I got a sweet potato in the kitchen, that vine just shooting up to the sky. Oh man. Oh, we'll try to do some things this year. We're trying to do some things this year. Okra growing. Hoo-wee. We out here. So let's get some things in, man. 25 things. 25 things. Get off your ass. Let's do something. Let's do something. We're going to end this live after we get this little workout in. 25 things. I'm going to do 50. I'm going to do 25 of one and 25 of the other. So we can go ahead and get going. And that'll be Part 16 for the night, baby. And we'll be back tomorrow, Lord willing, for part 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Squeeze. 12. Squeeze and bust that pecan with your chest. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Woo-wee. I feel like my shoulders, man. My shoulders hurt. And I ain't gonna say they hurt. They just, I've been working out today. So I feel in my shoulders. 19, 20, 21. But no pain, no gain. 22, 23, 24, 25. Ooh wee. Let's get 25. I'm gonna do 30 of these, 15 for each arm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Push it up there for you. 5. Catch that. Want some? Catch that. 6. 7. You get some too. 8. Got something for you. 9. Who next? Ready? 10. 11. 12. You want some more? You get some. 13. You get some. 14. You can have some too. 15. 16. 17. 18. Almost there. 19. Let's get it up there, baby. 20. Get it up there. 21. Come on, push it up. 22. Ooh, I feel it. 23. I feel it. 24. But you can get it. 25. 26. 27. Almost there. 28. Push it up there. 29. One more to go. 30. 30 of them things. 15 on each arm. Oh, I feel it, boy. Shoulders is burning. My mind is learning. My gears is turning. Hopefully my compost is worming. Shit, what up, Paul Sharp? What's the business? Yeah, man, I appreciate everybody who stopped by tonight, man. I appreciate it. Man, time is moving fast, man. Time is moving fast. You don't know. Tomorrow's not promised to nobody, man. You don't know how long you got. So take advantage of the time that you do have. Love your family, love your children. Show them a better example. Be a better example, man. It's on each of us. Each of us, man. You have a choice to choose. You have a choice to choose. You can keep being the bullshitter you have been, or you could change yourself around and prosper and succeed and show them the things that they need, because we're not going to be here all life. We're not going to be here all life, even though we may want to. I know I want to. I would love to be here till my son is old and gray, and I'm old and gray with him like Methuselah. Oh, still here, kicking, reading shit. But, you know, that's not, you know, that's not a for sure. That's not a for sure thing. So while I'm here, man, I definitely want to give a better example, for real, a better example. We all need to be better examples. I want to be a better example for me, you know, shit. I always wanted to be more of I don't want to say avid reader, but the thought of, I've always collected books. And a lot of times I just collected books just to look at them, just to have them. And I've always wanted to say and be able to say that I have read at least every book that I have, at least once. And I'm definitely well on my way to doing that. And it's taken me a long time and many years to come to this time, you know, and to come to what I've been doing. But hey, it's better late than never. Better late than never, baby. You got a chance. You're still alive. You got breath to breathe. You got all you need to succeed. No excuses, indeed, baby. You know, so we got to keep pushing. Man. A little bit at a time. Sometimes that's all you can go, is a little bit at a time. Some motion is better than no motion. Just get to rowing. And sometimes it may seem like it's big as the ocean, but keep rowing. Just like Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. You gotta just keep rowing, just keep rowing. You're gonna make mistakes. We all gonna make mistakes. We all gonna trip up, man. We all gonna take a wrong turn somewhere here or there. But as long as you have breath to breathe, you can keep going, baby. As long as you have breath to breathe, there's a choice that you can make to be better than you were yesterday, be better than you were years ago, be better than you are today, and be better tomorrow. Because the ones that's coming up after you is soaking up the things that you show them like a sponge. Whether you want to show them this or you don't want to show them that, whether you think you're being a role model or you're not being a role model, they see you, they hear you, and you are an example to them and many others. So you need to choose wisely the things that you do, the things that you show them. And I want to show them better. I want to show them better. And this is my part. This is my little part of it, part of many things that I do. Yep. But till next time, man. Till next time, I hope everybody has a wonderful night. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful night, man. Keep pushing, everybody. Keep pushing. A little bit at a time. We got to keep pushing, man. Don't let them hold you down. A hater gonna hate, but it's all right. Let a hater hate. They mad they can't do what you doing, whatever it is. They mad they can't do what you gonna do. They mad that they not gonna never see what you gonna see because they won't make the choices that you need to make and that you have to make for you to be in the place that you gonna be. It's on you, baby. Make your choice. Choose wisely. Choose ye this day who you will serve. Choose wisely. Choose wisely. At both choices, no matter what choice you choose, there has a repercussion at the end. There is a repercussion. There is a recompense for your choice. There is a result after. And you might not see that result, but your children might. Your children might be a result of those choices. And how they are when you gone, man. Gotta do better. Gotta do better. So once again, this is part 16. This has been part 16 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Ms. Gwendolyn Midlo Hall. We're going to keep pushing, baby. We'll keep pushing till we assassinate this book and we on to the next sea of pages. A pirate. I'm out here. Pirate. Pirate Blackbeard on a sea of pages. Ruin my ass until I get me a ship and a crew. And we're going to make it do what it do. So, shalom, everybody. Have a nice night. I'm Shalom. I'm out here, baby. So, Shalom out.